There's a new army that's becoming really popular. I've been seeing it on several YouTube channels that normally don't post anything else but their original army. It's Mass Dragon, Mass Totem Spell, and it is about as spam as you can get in Legend League and have it still be a really good attack. So basically, what you're going to do is you are going to babysit a Flame Flinger for about a minute. You're just going to put it on one side. Applesauce chooses to put it down here. By the way, you should definitely check out his videos. You should be able to see his name and channel and everything down below. And then you're going to use, once the Flame Flinger gets in range of a building that outranges it, you'll use a Totem Spell in order to continue to allow the Flame Flinger to get more value. So the Flame Flinger is going to get this Multi-Inferno, then both of the Wizard Towers, and then once it's in range of the Revenge Tower, he'll put a Totem Spell down so it allows the Flame Flinger to move further into the base. On the other side, so he's setting a funnel here, he's going to use the Queen and the Giant Arrow, ideally to snipe air defenses or sweepers. And this is going to destroy some of the buildings on this side. And he's going to use this little funnel here in the middle in order to send a bunch of dragons towards the middle of the base. And then he will just continuously put totem spells as they need to be tanked for in the middle of the base. And I'm going to times 2 until we get to that dragon spam part of the attack, because you literally do. You let the Flame Flinger work for about a minute before you do really anything else. All right, here we go. And the king is going to go on the outside of the queen, by the way, too. 1 tank, but 2, clear a whole bunch of buildings and do that. All right, let's get this off the screen. So, as we go through the base, right, we're just going to use totem spells as we get next to air defenses, monoliths, single target infernos if they exist. Anything that's really threatening for the dragons at this point. You can use them, since you have a 13 or 14, he takes 2 variations in the videos I'm going to show you today. You can use them pretty liberally, right? Just start placing them down. It's better to use them early on and get value out of them, but you can just see he's starting to put them kind of all over the place to protect the queen, to protect the super minions down to the bottom. He pops the warden ability first and then the minion prince ability second. I will times 2. He still has 3 totem spells, by the way, you can see that. And he'll use some rocket loons, which he's got in the army, to snipe the air defenses on the back end of the base. We'll times 2 through the rest of the attack now, but you will see for how simple this attack is, this is pretty crushed. And I have asked Applesauce to share several different styles of bases so that you guys can kind of see how this works versus any kind of base that you guys might come across in Legend League. So now that we kind of understand the idea behind the attack, we'll nitpick and go through a little bit more detail on the other attacks, but I just wanted to get this brief introduction on how to do the attack out of the way. But let's go into attack number 2. All right, so for this attack, we're going to watch this one specifically. It's got a Rage Tower, which he said he feels like is probably the weakness of this attack. And he actually didn't come across any double Rage bases today, but he went 311 with this army in Legend League. I want to show this one off specifically because he actually doesn't use a Flame Flinger. He actually just sets a Siege Barracks down to set the funnel on one side, and then use the Queen with the King and the Giant Arrow and stuff to set the funnel on the other side. So now we'll go ahead and watch this. He said if you have the Rage with this army, then you'll want to definitely use that once you've used like your Eternal Tome and have everything clumped up in the core. The core is where you want to get the value from the Rage if you have it there still. And then the Earthquake as well. If you don't need the Earthquake for like your Flame Flinger for whatever reason to speed things up, you can use it in the core or on a high damage area. So yeah, he'll use the Warden ability here early before the dragons split, and while they're taking a lot of damage from this stuff, he's continuing to spam those totem spells in, and hasn't used the Earthquake yet, but there goes the Minion Prince ability, and the totem spells he's just continuing to spam. There goes the Earthquake down there. He probably just realized he had it now. But I do want to show this one off specifically because he uses a Siege Barracks, right? What you would think is probably not a good siege machine. All you need it to do is just set a funnel so that your dragons kind of stay together, though. And he still has 4 totem spells with his army. And look how much stuff he's got left. Oh my gosh. This is really, there hasn't been any great spam attacks, like actual spam that work really well in Legend League. I know a lot of people think that Root Riders are spam, but it's a little bit more than that, right? Like you kind of spam the Root Riders down, but you do have to know how to do the Royal Champion charge really well and control and timing and placement of the Overgrowth spell. It's not exactly like spam like this. This is definitely like easy. Anybody can do this. You just kind of have to have a little bit of base identification. But let's go ahead. I'll try and find some more style of bases. He didn't get any double Rage bases today, but we'll watch some other ones. All right, this one is a super isolated town hall, and I was thinking when I watched this that he would struggle getting to the town hall and things would go through, but the funnel from the Flame Flinger is so good that it really eliminates that whole side of the base. Now, I will talk for a second while this Flame Flinger is going. He is searching for traps, by the way, which you should always do. We're going to take a second. We're going to talk about the range of the Flame Flinger. So if you don't know, if you have a Flame Flinger and there is one tile between the expo that's a ground expo and the defense that the flame flinger is attacking. The expo will not hit the flame flinger. So he could have gotten this wizard tower, the ricochet cannon, this air defense, and then put a totem over here in the range of the expo, but out of the range of everything else. But he kind of preemptively, I think he's just nervous, or maybe he doesn't understand the range of the flame flinger. Maybe he's not used to using the flame flinger. I've been using it a lot, right? So this is kind of a wasted totem here, and he wastes another one. You definitely don't need to put the totem there. You don't even need to do it until it's done destroying the air defense. And if you wanted to be really safe, you could put it like after the first shot onto the air defense. So that's maybe nitpicking the attack a little bit, but this still ends up being pretty crushed. Again, maybe trying to put it outside of the range of the multi-inferno tower, which you could have done there. You should click on those at the start of the raid so that you know where you can put the totem. But then, just like normal, we're spamming the king, queen, giant arrow, and then all the dragons and stuff. And I do want to show that part at the beginning just so that you guys can see. You don't have to do this attack perfectly in order to make it work, right? You'll get overkill attacks even if you just... I mean, he gets good value with a flame flinger either way, right? He's just wasting a couple of totem spells that he didn't need to. And again, because of the funnel that was set with the king and the queen on one side and the flame flinger on the other, these dragons have no problem getting to the core. And one benefit to the dragons over other things like root riders is because the town hall is not a defensive targeting thing anymore, you don't have to worry about the dragons dodging the town hall like the root riders would or anything, right? Like they're going to go get the town hall no matter what. And you can see that here. There's several dragons and the minion prince that are going to go get the town hall here. And then he'll use the minion prince ability a little bit later on, but he still has 3 totems left even after this. And we'll times 2 through the rest of this attack. So yeah, you can get to those isolated town halls, no problem. Just make sure that you let that flame flinger sit for like a minute and then use the king and the queen with the giant arrow. So you definitely need to make sure that the flame flinger is getting some value, destroying some defenses, but 2, more importantly, really setting the funnel and making sure that your dragons cannot go to that side. All right, so with the earthquake spell and then the one where it takes just an extra totem spell, it's really your personal preference. I don't really see a huge advantage either way. It seems like he's swagging a totem spell or 2 anyway, so the earthquake, it's not like it's useless. This is another raid where he kind of wastes a totem spell at the beginning here. The flame flinger will get this wizard tower, it'll go to the ricochet cannon, and then as soon as it targets the mortar, because the mortar will not attack the flame flinger unless the flame flinger is attacking the mortar, because their ranges are like exactly the same. So as soon as the ricochet cannon went down, or was it really low health, that's when I would have put the mono or the totem spell like right over here somewhere. Like his placement of the totem spell was good, but he wasted one because he put it down really early. So it's just taking unnecessary damage right now. This is where he uses his earthquake with the flame flinger, right? Because it'll help get that spell tower down. It'll help damage all the other things, allow it to get more value more quickly. But yeah, because of the totem spell placement early, he wastes one. So he could have used it now, and then he wouldn't have had to use an extra one once this totem spell dies. Now that it's about done getting its value and setting the funnel, he's going to start thinking about putting the king and the queen down here. Obviously, the giant arrow, if you can, get it to snipe air defenses. Like he tried to get that one there, missed unfortunately. But sweepers, I think, would be the #1 target. Air defenses would be the second closest thing. And then just make sure you use the king to the outside of the funnel from your queen so that the king will tank for her a little bit. That will also force all the dragons into the middle of the base. And I know I'm being a little bit repetitive with some of these points, but repetition will help you guys understand this and memorize it, and it'll help you guys retain the information a little bit more. Repetition is very important. No poison in this army because dragons are definitely one attack that really don't struggle versus any CC. They do splash damage, so they don't really struggle versus ice golems or things like that. They'll get through those still pretty quickly. They are very tanky, so they don't really die from like super minions or things like that. You also have a warden ability and the minion prince ability if you need to slow down a damage CC. Skeletons like from witches and stuff are not going to be a problem really at all. And you can see the handful of rocket ones that he has. One, he's searching for traps for the flame flinger, making sure the flame flinger is not just going to die immediately. Maybe you could take a couple of barbarians instead of 4 archers to search for skeleton traps for your flame flinger, because that could be one problem I see happening. But then the other rocket ones he's using to snipe air defenses once they're exposed on the back end of the base. And this one, he definitely could have swagged this other totem spell and his king ability if he wanted to here. Like this base was crushed. It's wild. And this one had the revenge tower. It had a whole bunch of other stuff. I don't think a bomb tower or a hero bell would have been very helpful here, and I don't think almost anybody's going to use that light beam. It just doesn't seem like it's going to be that good. But we'll watch a couple more attacks, because this is it's pretty insane that there's an attack that's this strong, that's this easy to use in Legend League, of all things. All right, we're going to watch this one again. We're going to try and find more stuff to show you about the range of the Flame Flinger, because I feel like this is something a lot of people are going to have to get used to. I've got more experience than almost anybody, probably other than pro players, with a Flame Flinger. It's like me and Dark, I feel like, are the ones that like try to justify it every single raid if we can. By the way, this is an excellent use of a Totem Spell. That's just blocking out the Expo. He's going to use the Rocketlinks to snipe those mortars, which is an excellent use for those Rocketlinks, by the way. This is where we're going to talk about the range. Now, if you're traveling towards a defense right here and there's a hero, if you look at the center of the hero, like kind of perpendicular to where your Flame Flinger is, anything on this side of that center line, your Flame Flinger can hit and will not be in range of the hero. So the Flame Flinger can hit this Fire Spitter and this Air Defense, and the Queen will not attack the Flame Flinger. But once the Flame Flinger gets to this Spell Tower, then it will be in range of the Queen. So just so you're aware, just draw a line perpendicular to where your Flame Flinger is, and if there's a defense that's centered, like you can see the center of this Fire Spitter is just closer than the Queen, that means your Flame Flinger is going to be able to hit the Fire Spitter just fine. There's not going to be a problem there. So that's another thing that you need to keep in note is with the heroes. That's the range of the hero. So again, he sets the funnel on the other side with the King and the Queen with the giant arrow over there. Uses a Totem Spell to tank the Monolith, which not ideal, but I think it's definitely better to have the Monolith hit the Totem Spell than your units, especially if it's a hero, right? So, and now it's attacking stuff that's in the Eternal Tome, so... there you go. The only reason the Flame Flinger is attacking the Spell Tower here is because the Queen was distracted by the dragons and went down. By the way, Flame Flinger does not outrange your Revenge Tower, so if you're paying attention, that's something that you should pay attention to. Just don't put your Flame Flinger in the direction of a Fire Spitter. The only other defenses that really outrange it are Ground Expos even in air mode, Mortars, the Monolith, the long shot multi-geared cannon, which is like the multi-archered cannon, whatever that's called, you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. And then the, oh, I know I'm missing one. I can't even remember what it is now, though. Maybe I mentioned them all? It does outrange the new Wizard Tower, though, because I know that has more range than the other ones. But, man, this is crushed, too. And he's going to swag his King ability again. What the? 311 while swagging hero abilities, pretty much swagging hero abilities, multiple raids is crazy. That's broken a little bit. All right, we'll make this the last replay that we're going to watch, and then I'm going to make some suggestions that you could change to make this army a little bit better, but it's going to be like a couple of teeny changes. One being, now he actually has 4 archers. You should always get in the habit of putting a couple of archers behind your Flame Flinger, because if a skeleton trap pops up, they're going to go ahead and deal with it, and it's not going to be a problem. So that's something you should definitely do. It's also maybe a good idea to take a couple of goblins or regular wall breakers to make them go ahead of the Flame Flinger to search for Teslas and things like that. They can be better than Rocket Loons in some situations, although that Rocket Loon does draw that Tesla, so that was good that he drew that. Now, again, with the range of the Flame Flinger, he could easily have gotten these 2 buildings down and then put this totem down so that it's not taking this damage from the Expo all this entire time. So he should have put it down after those go down, because the Expo would hit the Flame Flinger right here. But it took about 1/3 of its health before he needed to put it down anyway. So again, just being really nitpicky. But the Flame Flinger with the Totem Spell is going to be something that people learn how to do really well as they use this more and more. And then he sets the arrow with the Queen, tries to snipe that air defense there. I think he does hit the one on the back. He does. So he almost sniped both of them, but he snipes one of the air defenses and a sweeper, but he's going from the opposite side anyway, so that sweeper wouldn't have really been a problem. But again, the funnel's set. Having a couple archers, I think, is a really good idea to protect your Flame Flinger, or if you want to take out like one dragon and add a furnace to put behind your Flame Flinger, just don't do that if there's a ricochet cannon or, well, I guess there's no crusher mortar anymore. Hallelujah! So don't do that if there's going to be a ricochet cannon right in front of the Flame Flinger, because it will bounce off the furnace, the fire mites, and hit your Flame Flinger, which is obviously not ideal. Again, just continuously spamming. It's better to use your totem spells a little bit early and not use them later. Tips for the totem spell placement, though: try and put them in a place where if fewer defenses are going to be hitting them, but the high single target damage ones are going to be hitting them. Try not to put two right next to each other if there's a ricochet cannon nearby, because it's just going to be taking 2 times as much damage, which is, you don't need to. But again, this base is absolutely crushed. Just look how much stuff is alive. We've got both heroes alive at the bottom still, both at the top that are full health. The king is dead, but the queen's still full health almost. And look how many dragons are alive too. This is pretty wild. There's a reason this army's going pretty viral right now. It's obviously very good and very easy to use. We'll have to see how much more people will be able to defend once their defenses get a little bit more leveled up and the crafted defenses are available. But I don't see the bomb tower, the hero bell, or the long shot being super effective versus this army. So I think this is here to stay. This is one you should definitely learn how to do if you feel like you want to do well in Legend League, but you don't want to have to learn a really complicated army like Rocket Loom Fireball. Again, shout out to 𝗪𝗚𝗧 for sharing these replays with me. You should definitely check his channel out. He's got several videos that he's either uploaded or is planning to upload that will go over more styles of bases. Maybe he had a double rage yesterday or the day before that I didn't see that he shared with me today. But again, shout out to 𝗪𝗚𝗧. That's going to do it for this video. I'll see you guys next time.